So for this video, we will try to compare two fractions. So by that, we'll try to give out two fractions and we determine whether one is greater, less than, or both of them are equal. So let's start with our first example. So let's have 1/3 and 2/3. Now, how do we determine which of these two are greater? Now, the first thing to note is that when the denominator is the same, we'll only need to focus in the numerator. And the key here is that the higher the numerator implies the higher the value. So in this case, we have 1/3 is less than 2/3. So again, to state that, we put here the higher the numerator implies the higher the value. So indeed, if we try to illustrate this example, we have this one, and suppose that we divide it into 3. Then let's say that we have another of this one out here. Now if we shade one of them only one part and the other two, since 2/3, clearly the other one is greater than the other. So please take note of this relationship out here. Let's try another example. If we have 5/7 and 2/7, applying the same principle a while ago, we know that 5 has a higher value than 2. So this implies that since 5/7 has the higher numerator, then we have 5/7 is greater than 2/7. Let's try this one. If we have 1/2 and 1/3. For this example, we now have same numerators out here. So this one is different from a while ago, since in this case, the one that is same is the numerator and the denominator is different. Now in solving or in comparing these fractions, what we need to take note is that lower denominator implies higher value. So in this case, since 2 is the lower denominator, then we have 1/2 is greater than 1/3. Now indeed, if we try to represent this, say if we have this whole and we divide it into 3 parts, then we know that 1/3 is represented by this one. But we also know that if we try to divide this by 2, then this region represents 1/2, which is clearly greater than 1/3. So again, please take note of this relationship that we have. Let's try another example. If we have 7/10 and 7/8. So again, similar numerators. So the key is to compare the denominators. In this case, since 8 is the lower denominator, then we know that 7 over 8 is greater than 7 over 10. Or this is the correct relationship for this. Now let's try this one. If we have 3 over 4 and 11 over 12. Now how do we compare this one? Now observe here that the numerators are both different as well as the denominators. So what we can do here is we can actually multiply 3 over 4 by 3 over 3. So let's move this first. So this would give us 9 over 12. Now we have similar denominators out here. So again, applying the relationship that we had a while ago, we know that the one with the greater numerator will give a greater fraction. So for this case, we have 9 over 12 is less than 11 over 12. And this is the correct relationship for this one. Let's try this one. If we have 51 over 99 and 5 over 9. Now again, what we can do is we can multiply 11 over 11 out here, so that the outcome would become, let's move this first, this would become 55 all over 99. Now we can clearly see now that the greater fraction is the 55 over 99, since it has the higher numerator. Now let us try this one. If we have 6 over 7 and 9 over 11. Now for this one, what we can try to multiply out here is 11 over 11 and 7 over 7. But there is a simpler way, or you could also say a hack, on how to quickly determine which of these fractions are greater. So let's remove this first. So the method that I am pertaining is cross multiplication. So we can cross multiply this one and this one, which would give us 6 times 11 and 9 times 7. Yeah. So this one is equal to 66 over 63. Now since these two are whole numbers, it is easy to see that 66 is greater than 63. So now, how do we arrive back at the original fraction? Now note that this one on the left is represented by the original fraction on the left. So this one is the 6 over 7. On the other hand, this one is represented by the original fraction on the right. So this one is 9 over 11. So by doing cross multiplication, we were able to see that 6 over 7 is greater than 9 over 11. So take note of that hack. Let's have another example. If we have 12 over 13 and 21 over 23. So again, what we can do is to cross multiply. So this would give us 12 times 23 which is actually 276, and 21 times 13, which is actually 273. Feel free to verify if this is the correct values. But from here, we can see that 276 is greater than 273, which implies that 12 over 13 is greater than 21 over 23. So through that hack, we were able to quickly see which of these numbers or fractions are greater. Let us try one last example. If we have 10 over 3 and 5 over 2. Now observe here that what we have are improper fractions. Now we can do the method or the hack that was presented a while ago to clearly see which of these fractions are greater. But another thing that we can do when we are presented with improper fractions is to convert them into their mixed number form. So let's do that. So this one is the same as 3 and 1 over 3, as well as 2 and 1/2. Now from here, we can clearly see that this must be greater than the other fraction. The reason behind that is that it contains a greater whole number than this one. So we have this one to be greater than 2 and 1/2. So that is another thing that we can do when dealing with improper fractions. We try to convert it into its mixed number form and compare the whole numbers and check which between the two has a higher value. So again, for comparing fractions, what we first need to take note is that a higher numerator implies higher value. A lower denominator implies higher value as well. We also need to remember the cross multiply method. And lastly, we also need to remember this method of converting improper fractions to mixed numbers. By applying all these concepts, we will be able to quickly see whether a number is greater than, less than, or equal to another number. So again, that is all for this video.